Kent and Anthony, there's one key little thing that you're missing. The resolution states that resolve the Constitution should be amended. Should, as in it's advisable, it is preferable, like we should do it. Now, when it is preferable, when it is advisable to do something, that's when it's feasible, that's when it's plausible, that's when you can actually do something and carry it out. A, how would we vote on this new Constitution if Congress isn't taking a 2/3 majority to amend it? B, who is going to write it? Because we still haven't answered that question. You're saying not politicians, then who else? Who has the political know-how to say, oh, who has the actual experience, the actual political know-how to actually write a document that's going to cover the most fundamental level of our federal system and laws? They're like, okay, let's be honest here. If I look at our American population today, I have no hope for us. It's like potheads, crackheads, they're morons, they think, I don't know, they're just not very smart, they're not very educated, a lot of them don't have college degrees, and a lot of them have like a college degree in women's study and they're whining that they can't find a job. It's just, I don't have much faith in our human society right now, and I have no faith in our government for sure. There's no one to write it. We shouldn't rewrite the Constitution because we don't have the resources, we don't have the know-how, we don't have everything that we need to rewrite it, so why should we?
So you guys were saying, some people were saying that there should be little changes, like amending, like changes and stuff. Okay, so the video about like the Muslim being like, it's all like how Muhammad was gay. Yeah. Okay. So that goes with the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. This is symbolic speech. Like the video itself is symbolic speech. And if they were to change it so it doesn't offend anybody, okay, they would change it. But what happened every time there's a different situation? They would have to change every other amendment. And that's not reasonable. So I don't think they should change it.
One change that I think we should make to the Constitution, maybe not like rewriting it, but just an amendment, is get rid of the amendment that gives Congress the power to collect income tax, and instead switch income tax out with a consumer-based tax. So the more money you spend, the more money, or the more taxes you pay. The less money you spend, the less taxes you pay. This makes sense because the rich people that everyone gripes and complains that they don't pay enough taxes, well, they spend more money, so they'll pay more taxes. And also create another provision in the tax system where every time someone exports money out of the country to say the Cayman Islands, they get taxed on that money transfer out of the country. So that way, rich people can avoid taxes by transferring their money out of the country where it isn't taxable anymore, because they get taxed when they move the money. Also, a consumer-based tax means it's less burden on the taxpayer. The taxpayer ends up saving money while the government gets money. It's a win-win situation, and it makes sense.
Mark, Todd.
Jake, the rich people already pay more taxes than everybody else. The top 10% of America pays more than 50% of all the taxes in America. The bottom 50% of America pays no taxes. No taxes at all. They just get scot-free. Why is that all right?
Thank you, Mark. What? Okay, well, real quick, let's not delve into socioeconomic policy too much here, guys.
That is a conversation for another day.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Beyond.
Our Constitution is like over 200 years old, right? And in the last about 30 years, I've seen some atrocious things. For example, Obama and his administration have managed to pass like the National Defense, what was it? National
Defense Authorization Act.
That one. Where basically, if he thinks that you are a foreign threat, he can throw you in jail indefinitely. And the idea is that apparently our Constitution allows this. Our Constitution states that you have the right to bear arms under the sole provision that you are for the defense of the militia. And yes, the Supreme Court has authorized that, that's not a necessary provision, but it's in the text right there, and they ignored it because they're a bunch of conservatives. Should that be a thing or not? There's the elastic clause, which allowed the NDA, amongst other things, And the elastic clause is so vague that essentially Congress has the ability to do anything as long as they have the majority vote, and so forth. There are a lot of issues with the Constitution. Yes, these people who wrote it, they were geniuses, but they left a lot of open-ended questions, you know? Like, what can Congress do? What is exactly the role of the president? Because so far, all we know is that the only thing that is concretely in the Constitution about the president is that he can veto bills and he deals with foreign affairs. That's the only thing that's actually concretely in the Constitution. We still don't know really what the president does because every new president has defined a new role in the presidency in some way. So there's too many questions, it's too vague. We can't just say, it's fine, you know, we've done fine for 200 years. Sure, we're in the economic recession. Sure, we have a bunch of issues. Sure, the NDA got passed, but we're fine. There's an issue and we need to solve it. Go ahead.
So, I kind of noticed from what Byung said, the issue is that when the Constitution was written, we had never had a president before, we had never had Congress or a real Senate or anything. We had like first meetings and stuff that kind of represented that for each of the colonies, but we never really knew what this country was going to turn into. If we really wanted to be smart, we would have rewritten the Constitution every presidency or every few presidencies just to see how the country looked. Each president took it on their own standpoint, and there was never really a true meaning to the Constitution back then. Like there was, but George Washington was the first test run of that pretty much. And now we're at Obama, which is the Constitution's been in place for less than 300 years, but 200. Okay, thank you. Anyways, so basically we've just kind of been on a test run, and we haven't really adapted to that test run. So.
All right, off of everybody's arguments, Byung, I agree with you that the Constitution does need to be changed for today's applications. However, as far as somebody writing it, if the nation as a whole, I know that you don't think Americans are that great. Believe me, I see stupid people every day. But if the nation as a whole wanted to change the Constitution, we could do it. There would be some form of consensus so that we can change these things. And off of, what's your name? Derek. Off of what Derek said, yes, after all this time, the Constitution does need to be changed. And maybe it needs to be changed every few presidencies because the world is constantly evolving. People are constantly changing. After all this time of having the same constitutions, we are stuck with a House of Representatives that is deadlocked because there's just Democrats and Republicans just gnawing at each other's faces because that's all it's been for all this time. Thank you.
I'm actually gonna sort of agree with Byung here, but at what point are we gonna say, okay, we have essentially completely rewritten the Constitution because we've added so many amendments that pretty much everything, if not everything, in the original Constitution has been crossed out. I mean, when we abolished slavery, that crossed out the 3/5 clause. I mean, when will we have crossed out so much? It is no longer the Constitution, it's something totally different. It's still a Constitution, but it's not the Constitution. And also, just gonna really quickly go back to the entire question of who are we gonna have write it. Well, I don't see any resolve to the political party issue coming anytime soon if we continue in the way that we've been going. Anyone who's taken AP Psych knows about what's called, Anthony, do you remember what it is?
I know that one.
The polarization effect, which is where when you have two parties who pretty much just talk within themselves and don't really mix, they get more and more extreme viewpoints. I mean, when are we gonna say, okay, now we need to rewrite a constitution? When we actually have people shooting each other because of political differences? I mean, yeah, right now we're bad, but I don't see it ever getting any better in our current situation.
Yeah. All right. So, any new speakers? We've had the same 4 people. New speakers, Anthony, you're not new.
We don't want you.
Any Jarrett? I'll take your camera for you.
Okay, so we're all talking about who should rewrite the Constitution if need be. I say we do it. It's the right of the people to alter or abolish a tyrannical government. So why don't we do it? We have the internet, we can crowdsource it. have everyone throw in their ideas, and then have a whole bunch of scholars put it all together in one big constitution that we've all decided to agree on. I don't understand why we need Congress to do it. They're all idiots. We all know that they're just 60-year-old men who just love getting money from the taxpayers. So I say we throw them out, build our own government with blackjack and hookers, okay? Maybe not those. That's probably what got us in trouble in the first place, but I say that we make our own government. We don't need a bicameral legislature. We don't need two different parties. I think we just need us, the people of the United States. We, the people.
Hi guys, I'm Avi. If those of you who don't know, I'm a huge flaming liberal. Like, I'm gay, I've had 3 abortions, and I rely on socialized healthcare for me to get my medication. I have like 5 liberal arts degrees, but I choose to be a bartender because that's what us liberals do. And I think we should rewrite the Constitution because I want to publicly masturbate, and I think it's totally flawed. Now these guys were thinking about all they wanted to do. They were not thinking about the good of America and the good of the people. I think they were, in fact, they just wanted to say fuck you to England. Oh, I'm sorry, I said the fuck word. But instead, I think we should rewrite the Constitution so that I can do as many abortions as I want and just have free healthcare and walk around naked and have public sex and masturbation all the time. And I think I'm going to do that right now because I need to leave. So thank you very much. I hope you consider all my points because liberals are going to rule the world one day. So let's go.
Avi Bir, everybody! It's really undramatic, excellent. And still here, very colorful, unorthodox ideologies.